What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is Sunday, September 1st. Fresh start to a new month. Really looking forward to these next upcoming 6 months with all of this football we're going to be having. Last year, this 6 month time span, we did over 100 units just in 6 months, and we are looking to replicate something similar. We're looking to bounce back after our free pick could not get there yesterday in Texas A&M. That's all right, though. You win some, you lose some. We have now won 11 of our last 13 free picks. 11 of our last 13 free picks. Hoping to pick up another winner in college football today. This is the only game in college football today. It is Sunday night, and it is in the USC LSU game. This should be a good game. Two tight teams, two very, very potent offenses, and two absolutely horrendous defenses. That is why this total is set at 64.5. Last year, these teams were ranked 1 and 2 in terms of offensive production, and they were ranked in like the bottom 25 in defensive efficiency. So these teams were all offense and no defense. Now there's some key signature moves that each team did to improve their team, mostly on the defensive side of the ball. However, obviously they lost their top two players in Caleb Williams and in Jalen Daniels to the NFL draft. So they're missing their star quarterbacks, but they did fill their quarterbacks. Miller Moss will be the quarterback for USC, and the LSU quarterback will be Garrett Nussmeier. So two new guys, that are in two completely different systems. Miller Moss was actually with USC last year, so he will take over the starting role. He will be familiar in this position. Both teams have brought out a ton of defensive pieces that we will get into, along with this game is being played at Allegiant Stadium, so it is a neutral site game. No home field advantage, really. This is obviously closer to USC than it is to LSU, so I expect some USC fans to travel well in this game to get off to a good start for this UFC offense. So the free pick, with that being said, is going to be USC first half +3 at -125 for 1 unit. USC first half +3 at -125. So now we will get into the write-up a little bit. This is just a little brief write-up that I did on how both teams should improve. So Dayton Lynn is being brought over from UCLA. He coached at UCLA. He's now coming over to USC, so he's very familiar with the Pac-12, some of the teams that USC will play, even though the Pac-12 is obviously abolished now. 22% blitz rate. It was one of the strongest pass rushes in football, and this was produced a lot of this had to do with Dayton Lynn and his defensive rushing success. So I hope to see USC get more pressure. Garrett Nussmeier is obviously in a new role here at LSU, and putting the pressure on him early is going to be crucial. LSU is also without Chris Hilton. It looks like he is out with an injury. He is LSU's number one guy, or number two guy maybe, in terms of wide receiver. Along with that, USC also brought in Mason Cobb. He's a middle linebacker who played at Oklahoma State. They had a very, very heavy defense, a very successful defense, Oklahoma State did. Bringing in a solid middle linebacker like Mason Cobb is going to be a game changer here for the USC defense, that it's going to be more explosive than it was last year. Obviously, they're not going to be as bad as they were. I don't expect them to be a top 50 defense, but they did bring in different pieces. They have a new defensive coordinator. They have pieces like Mason Cobb. They also got Kamari Ramsey, who is a safety from UCLA. So those pieces are going to fit this USC system better. And I think USC will be able to build off that and get more pressure to Garrett Nussmeier. But because their talent level and the injuries that LSU is suffering, I expect LSU to start a handful of inexperienced players, as we can see here in the lineup. Quarterback, USC will undoubtedly be better in that department as well, which is going to be big because both of these quarterbacks can throw it, and both of these offenses are very, very potent. Cornerback and Zy Alexander, he is a transfer from southeastern Louisiana, had coverage statistics for LSU last season that were below replacement level. So in terms of cornerback play, I think USC will have the advantage here. We'll go over here to some betting splits and some trends. So now we will go over here and take a look at some trends that are favorable towards this USC side. As we can see, they're 3-2 against the spread as an underdog since the start of the 2022 season. The Trojans are also 5-3 against the spread in non-conference games since the start of the 2022 season. LSU is only 1-5 against the spread in neutral site games. This is also a much further distance for this LSU squad to travel than this USC squad, who has a short road trip. And LSU is also 6-7 against the spread against ranked opponents since the start of the 2021 season. And we take a look over here at the betting splits for this game. So as we can see, there are 64% or 64 and 71% of the tickets on LSU. This line has actually reduced a little bit this morning towards that USC side, taking road favorites of 4 or more in week 1 that have 60% or more on the money line or 60% or more of the bets is usually a death trap. I think those teams to start the season that once again fit that category of being 3.5-point favorites or higher with 60% of the bets or higher, they have a negative ROI of around 9%. So this USC squad fits that mold to produce us a solid ROI in this game. With all that being said, USC's defensive improvements, USC's new defensive coordinator, Garrett Nussmeier, going to have to deal with some havoc being caused by this newly reformed USC pass rush. I think USC will be able to score more points and they'll be able to get more stops when it matters. And ultimately, the turnover battle should be the difference in this one. I'm going to trust this USC defense to hold LSU when it really, really matters. And we are going to be rocking with the USC in the first half +3. I think they come out strong, short road trip, better team overall. Let's rock. See you the next one, fellas.